Good evening, and welcome to PQP Part 1 for the fall term in 2017. My name is Christy Radborn,
And I'm Denise Baxter.
and we'll be your instructors for this term.
We'd like to begin by taking a moment to acknowledge the traditional territory of NMQYU, which is Fort William First Nation and signature to the Robinson Superior Treaty. And we are filming right now in Thunder Bay.
Yes, where we have a little bit of light rain and but still warm temperatures. So we hope you're enjoying your fall as well as you head into a very busy season. We understand that. You've just come off of, most of you, for your startups for your school, as so did we. Recognizing that we have about 11 weeks to complete the course, and there are 7 modules for Part 1. So they will roughly open every 10 days. Now, just to let you know, each module is open, so you may look at them. However, we ask that you do not post until after the opening date, which will be posted at the front matter of each beginning module. And you'll be able to see that starting tomorrow morning. So don't work ahead. Part of this course, the course is really built to work along your reflections, to take what you've learned and build upon it, just as we would our math curriculum. So it's designed for you to gain experience, gain discussion, reflection experience, to go through the work and the modules, and each one builds upon each other. So if you're working ahead, we won't be commenting on posting at that point. We will comment on posts that you see in each module each time. So we roughly, yeah.
What I'd just like people to know is you don't have to comment on everybody else's post. Pick maybe 2, maybe 3 that really resonate with you within each module. So for example, in 3.1, pick 2 that you would like to engage in conversation with, and then maybe read the rest, but then you can move on to the next module. With 15 to 25 people per class, asking you to respond to everybody's is quite unmanageable for you, I would say. So just pick 2 that really resonate, or that you really want to question or challenge in a very professional, respectful way, but it does push our thinking and push our learning, and so that makes for some very good conversation. The EQI, which is something that we put it right in the front notes this morning for you. I know one person did it already.
Yes.
You're only requested to do the EQI if you have not yet done one in the last 2 years. Some of you have done them through maybe your teachers' federations, or maybe your board or other leadership opportunities have allowed you that time. You can take out your older report and certainly use that. They don't really change that much over a 2-year period.
And just a few minutes to to introduce you to who we are. I'm principal at the Lakehead District School Board here in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and that's the public board in this region. I have been an administrator for just over 7 years, and I've been at a few different schools. A principal at Ogden for 3 years until the 2015-16 school year, and last year I moved to Valley Central School, which is out in the country, so I've had 2 different contexts, both urban and rural. Prior to that, I was a teacher. Began my work in 2000, so I've been teaching for about 17 years in total. I've had some past historical work in the United States, doing law enforcement, so sometimes I bring that professional background to bear. It's a little, I always tell people it's a little bit different, but some of the principles of management and leadership are quite the same. I do some writing. I'm currently getting my PhD with Lakehead University. It's a joint PhD through Brock, Windsor, and Lakehead, and doing that work gives me an opportunity. It's in education leadership, gives me an opportunity to look at some of the theoretical literature, and sometimes those are the pieces of posts that I add to the work. I do want to mention that recently our board's been fortunate enough to work with a superintendent from Manitoba, Sandra Erbst, and so you'll find that she's flavoring some of my thought right now about leadership and how we work within our schools. Really focused on feedback that's effective, helping move my team, and then really modeling what good teaching looks like, as well as modeling leadership practices. So those will be some of the focal points of my work. I have 2 children, one who is 17, a daughter, and one who is 14, and my daughter is is in grade 12 this year, and my son is just starting high school, grade 9. So they both play hockey. We also have football in our family. We have cross country in our family. And we have an exchange student from Spain who's also living with us, and he is in grade 11, Ernesto. So you may hear me talk about some of the context there for international students, and It's been interesting to learn a little bit about international school systems and the differences. So he has technically completed high school in Spain, so we'll talk about some of those comparative systems as we move through the modules. But so we are busy people as well, and I recognize that each of you may have children or families that you have responsibilities to. You may have outside activities. So we ask that you, as it's a busy course, but as you move through it, that you also take time for yourself and your family and keep us apprised of what's happening. So I look forward really to working with you and learning with you. Each time I teach this course, I gain a little more knowledge about my own work and a little more reflection about leadership in general in the province, and I'm looking forward to learning from you.
And I'm in year 24 of my formal work in education. I started working in a small First Nation community called Constance Lake First Nation, which is near Hearst, Ontario. Basically the middle of Ontario, roughly, on both sides of the map. And moved to Lakehead Public Schools 19 years ago. I've worked also and opened a private First Nation secondary school, the Maternal Learning Center. And my work in Lakehead Public Schools has been as an elementary teacher, PJ and I, certainly working as a coach within our school system, a literacy coach. I spent 3 years working with the Literacy and Numeracy Secretariat with the Minister of Education. Been a principal at 2 schools, a French immersion dual track, and also at Ogden, where Christy was also principal. And currently I'm working in adult education. We have adult and continuing education program where we have about 2,000 students registered and actively engaged in learning. So my particular background, I would say, other than doing a lot of work in literacy and numeracy and school improvement, has really focused on supporting the work of our board, supporting Indigenous learners and the learning of all staff and students around Indigenous education, history, and perspectives. So that's kind of the work that I've really spent a lot of time in. Outside of work, I am also working on my PhD through York University. I'm about partway through. And I'm one of the 8 black belts in my karate club, and we do a volunteer karate club here in Thunder Bay. And so when I don't get there as often as I wish, but I do get there a couple times a week, and have 2 girls with my partner, and we have one is in grade 11, one is in grade 7, and I also have an exchange student staying here with us from Switzerland, Leanne, and she's here for not the whole year, just a couple months. So we've been having quite the adventure of learning about how school and the different pace of educational processes in Switzerland compared to North America, well, in Canada and Ontario specifically. So that's been really an interesting journey for our whole family. And I'm also a member of Martin Falls First Nation, which is a First Nation north of Thunder Bay on the Albany River. So that is a little bit about me and my family. So I'm really looking forward to this group. Every time we do this, it's always really nice to see new people, meet new people. We have students visiting this class from around the world, and it's a really nice opportunity to learn with and from each other.
So once again, welcome. We look forward to learning with you, and if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them via our email, and we'll get back to you on those. Sometimes we do, and watch the announcements, please, because we make whole class, whole group announcements through there. So there's lots of updates that come that way.
Okay.
All right.
So have a good evening.
Have a great evening.